I created a very detailed pencil sketch because it's essential for me to have the composition fully planned from the start. For this painting, I decided to prime the canvas with very thinned out burnt umber. I used frog tape to mark the horizon and cover parts of the boat while painting the sky. I painted the sky and clouds primarily using ultramarine blue, manganese blue hue, orange, and deep gray. I didn't like how it turned out. I repainted the sky, planning to add the clouds on top once it dried. While waiting for the paint to dry, I worked on the ocean. I definitely didn't like how the sky turned out. The transition where the blue met the orange didn't look right. I mixed ultramarine blue and manganese blue hue with a touch of white to paint the very top of the sky. As I moved lower, I gradually added more white. I left a gap between the blue and orange sections of the sky. I used cadmium orange, alizarin crimson permanent, yellow, and white to paint the orange portion of the sky. For the transition area of the sky, I mixed ultramarine blue, manganese blue hue, orange, alizarin crimson permanent, yellow, and white to create a grayish tone. While waiting for the sky to dry so I could add the clouds, I began working on the boat. I mixed quinacridone magenta with cadmium red medium and white for the boat. It looked fine for now, but I might change the color later. At the tip of the boat, I added more white because that's where the sun hit the most. At the very end of the boat, I applied burnt umber for shading. For the bottom of the boat, I used ultramarine blue, following the same concept. For the highlights, I added more white, and for shading, I mixed in orange to darken the blue. To create the base for the ocean, I mixed ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson permanent, orange, yellow, and white to form a grayish blue hue. I found the hue to be too dark, so I added more white to brighten it up. I thought the ocean base looked much better then. The sky had dried enough for me to add the clouds on top. I blended orange and alizarin crimson permanent with yellow and a hint of white to create the bright glow of the sunset above the sun. For the clouds, I used orange, alizarin crimson permanent, and the purple created by mixing alizarin crimson permanent with ultramarine blue. The clouds near the sun had the most orange and less purple, while the clouds further from the sun had more purple and less orange. I then added highlights to the clouds using a mixture of yellow and white for the clouds near the sun and pure yellow for the clouds further from the sun. I began working on the rest of the boat. For the chessboard, since it was facing away from the sun, I painted the white squares using the mixture of ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and white. For the black squares, I used a mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt umber. I painted the chess pieces white. For the shadows, I used gray created by mixing ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and white. For the brushes, I painted them based on the Princeton S-Pen brushes, which I like the most out of all of my brushes. I worked on the back of the boat where the PinkBoatSD logo was. The word was supposed to be white, but since they were in shadows, I used gray created by mixing ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and white. For the background of the words, I used a mixture of alizarin crimson permanent, cadmium red medium, and burnt umber, but I didn't like how it turned out. I decided to leave the boat as it was for now and started working on the ocean. I wanted to create a very dark blue for the wave shadows using ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson permanent, and orange. I started adding highlights to the ocean, but now I realize it was probably too early for that. but I painted the background logos of the boat in blue and it didn't look right at all. I wiped it off, waited for it to dry before repainting it. For the sail of the boat, I used straight grenade magenta for the shadows. For the areas where the sun hit the sail, I added more white to the grenade magenta. I worked on the logos again and painted the words using gray mixture of ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and white. For the background, I used straight grenade magenta. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Once the chess pieces had dried, I added highlights to them. I also painted the side of the boat in grenade magenta, adding highlights by mixing in more white. I thought the boat looked much more uniform now. I added some highlight to the sunset and the clouds. I painted the tennis racket in the middle of the boat. Initially, I had placed it a little to the left, but I didn't like how it looked. I painted it while the paint was half dry, which made it a bit difficult. This is why I prefer to plan my paintings at the start. It saved me so much time and trouble later on. It's time to add highlights to the ocean. I use a mixture of orange, alizarin crimson permanent, and white for the highlights. Where the sun shines on the ocean, I apply straight white. I want to share a pink boat drawing I made about a year ago when I first started drawing and painting. Comparing it to my current work, I see a big improvement and have learned so much since then. I'm very happy with the progress I made. It looked nice, but the value wasn't right, it was too bright. The ocean seemed more like it was daytime rather than sunset. To fix the highlights of the ocean, I mixed orange with alizarin crimson permanent and just a little bit of white to create a darker orange red that mimics the sky above. On the right side of the boat, the sky was darker because it was further from the sun, so I added a touch of ultramarine blue to the highlight mixture to create highlights for the ocean in that area. Let's take a look at the finished painting. Thank you for watching.